Well, good morning. Today I want to share a few thoughts with you about the condition of this world. You know, we live in a pretty mixed up place, and on a daily basis we witness things, we encounter things that offend and frustrate us. And let me give you a couple of examples from my own experience. Sometimes when I'm watching television and I'm looking for some quality programs, I'm amazed and shocked at some of the things I see as I flip through the channels. The terrible ideas, the immoral behaviors that are being openly promoted on so many programs. And I have a similar reaction when I hear on the news about the misguided ideas being promoted by politicians that would supposedly benefit me, but are actually a waste of taxpayers' money. These are just a couple of things that seem so out of tune with my value system. And I know that all of you probably could think of similar examples. And you just can't help going through life without encountering some of these disturbing things. So, you know, I wonder if fallible, fallen, and sin-blighted people like us are bothered by such things, then imagine how God must feel as He observes down here on this earth the wickedness and sinfulness of our race. God is a God of holiness and righteousness, but we have fallen so far from His standards. So if things are so messed up in this world, what is God doing about it? This morning I want us to consider this question of how God reacts and responds to human wickedness and rebellion in this world. And I invite you to open your Bibles to Romans chapter 1, beginning in verse 18. And it says, "The wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all the godlessness and wickedness of men, who suppress the truth by their wickedness." We learn from this verse that God's response to wickedness is wrath. In our study of this passage, I want us to consider two questions. Why is God's wrath being revealed or expressed against sin? And how is it being revealed against sin and wickedness? Before we address these actual questions, let's consider the meaning of this word wrath. Most dictionaries provide such definitions as strong, stern, or fierce anger, rage, or fury. Now I gotta say, those are fairly unpleasant terms, and I feel really uncomfortable when we apply them to God. But I think if we take a closer look at what Paul is saying, we'll find a different picture. Now let's return to our first question. Why is God's wrath being revealed against sin? Let's continue reading our passage, verses 19 and 20. "Since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, His eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that men are without excuse. Paul's key point here is that God's wrath is being demonstrated because humanity at large has ignored Him. Everyone is without excuse because the natural world testifies that God is real, and nature also reveals God's attributes. So to not worship the true God is rebellion. It is a rejection of the plain truth. Now, it may sound a little harsh to some for God to be wrathful because of unbelief. I mean, after all, we can all think of people who live moral and ethical lives who don't really believe in God. But if we keep reading, verses 21 through 23 reveal that unbelief usually leads to something worse. For although they knew God, they neither glorified Him as God, nor gave thanks to Him. But their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal man and birds and animals and reptiles.